All right. Should be shareable now.
A little cool in here.
Yeah, it's a little cool. All right. I mean, I think it's a little cool. I have to see what Howard Stern says about that.
I didn't see any Howard on Mediaite today. What's wrong?
Well, he's probably not working. Doesn't he work like 2 days a week?
Oh yeah. Yeah, well, there is that. Yeah.
Robin, I'm going to tell you about this Sam Bankman fraud guy. I think he's an idiot. Oh, Howard. Stern says Sam Bankman-Fried should be executed. Wow, man, that's a hot take.
All right. It is the Brad and Britt cast, last one for the week. We give it extra effort today. That's what we do. That's what we are.
This is the one where we really try. So pay attention. Hang on. You're getting for the ride of your life.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay. Here's the list. You're going to love that new tax form in 23. The rent's falling. Good timing, Don. Your big announcement couldn't be better if you tried. Ted Budd is an obsequious Trump suck-up thug and criminal just like the rest of them, as North Carolina punches above its weight in the insurrection game. Kirsten Sinema's side hustle, Taco Bell, Say It Ain't So, and canceled and kicked out of the U.S. Capitol for just being a white guy, standing up for white guys.
Oh, geez. Let's do the big announcement from Donald John Trump Sr. It was finally announced, man. And it really is world-shaking, body-rocking.
By the way, I'm glad you threw in the senior. I've noticed, in particular, Jake Tapper always calls him Donald Trump Sr. now.
Please.
And it's such a great insult.
Oh, my God.
It's the perfect insult because now it relegates him to being the other Donald Trump and having to designate him specifically away from really the Donald Trump that we all love and care about the most, Dom Jr.
Well, your home run on that one is when he goes on stupid Truth Social or something and types in all caps, "My name is not Donald Trump Sr." That's when you know that you've killed him, you've destroyed him, you've landed.
Yeah. It'll happen. It'll happen. Okay, what was it, like 3 or 4 days ago? He said, "I have a major announcement." Oh, God. And I went and checked. Do you remember I think it was right at the beginning of Trump's term in office, they were selling these Trump commemorative plates.
Yeah.
Remember that shit that just trash that they were trying to sell for $50 or $100 for some piece of crap that the plate itself was probably a $2 plate. And I wanted to see if that stuff was still available, and it's not. But there's a lot of paper plates. There's a lot of paper plates with Trump's pictures on them, and I looked that up. But his big announcement was, and could your timing be any better? Within the week that crypto is melting down, which by definition and guilt by association, I think that non-fungible tokens, and by the way, what are fungible tokens? NFTs are about as valuable as your average, shit coin or whatever it is. They're nothing. I never could understand. So who better to try to exploit that His announcement was, it's a digital trading card with an image of himself in a superhero costume standing in a boxing ring, like a digital version of the Pokemon cards the kids in the 90s and aughts used to trade. It'll be $99. They'll be gone, I believe, very quickly. That was Trump on Not Very Truthful Social, his site. Major announcement. My official Donald Trump digital trading card collection is here. These limited edition cards feature amazing art, and the word art is capitalized, of course, for good reason, of my life and career. Collect all of your favorite Trump digital trading cards, very much like a baseball card, but hopefully much more exciting. And Britt, we have sat in wonder, as have millions, tens of millions of Americans, wondering, why do they spend their money on him? Why do they send him their money? What do you think the chances are that the average Trumper would be into this kind of financial chicanery? It's one thing to just send him money on your credit card or through texting, or what do you, how many, I think this one's the biggest dead bang loser stiff of all. Just me.
Yeah, but I still think there's going to be some people who have no idea what this is, and this is going to be like the first and only NFT they ever buy. Because they're that brainwashed.
Do they realize they're buying nothing?
That I don't know. That I'm not sure of. I was reminded by one reporter that it's been documented that when he left Walter Reed, he wanted to have like a Superman t-shirt or something under his shirt so that he could open it up and flash the press as he was leaving the hospital. Do you remember this story?
Well, I saw something about that. You mean like Cam Newton used to after he'd score a touchdown, but he actually wasn't wearing the shirt. He didn't
do it. He never did it. He had to be. It was one of those he was kind of talked out of, but he wanted like to rip off his shirt symbolically and show his supporters that he had beaten COVID and that he was really truly the real Superman, the real life Superman.
Well, we're all a lot less for not having that happen, aren't we?
There's a good picture of the NFT and what it looks like. So there you go.
It's a
good shot at it, I think.
Fat guy in a Superman suit with big boobs. I love that hanging down. That's good.
there's a good picture.
In a video ad for the cards, Trump says, "Hello, everyone. This is Donald Trump. Hopefully your favorite president of all time. Better than Lincoln, better than Washington, with an important announcement to make. I'm doing my first official Donald J. Trump NFT collection." Can you imagine who and how this came to be? Who made the pitch to him? Where do you think that one came from? It couldn't be his idea because he's not, he's not of the, he's about 3 generations away from having any ability to think that way. It's not what he does. Each card allegedly enters the purchaser into a raffle where you can score dinner with Trump, a golf trip, or a Zoom call with him. I don't want any of those 3. So,
well, you might be able to also, when you have dinner with Ye and Nick Fuentes. So, hey, stop right there. You get added value.
All right, I'm in. Yeah. What perfect timing here, because all the polls in the last few days are just dreadful for him among the Republican Party. In other words, it means he's going to win. Wall Street Journal poll conducted 2 years ahead of Election Day 2024. That's about where we are. Shows Ron, Mr. Personality DeSantis in the lead. Among likely primary voters, poll shows that 54% favor DeSantis compared with 38% backing Trump. Well, that's a stupid poll because you have to assume it's a one-on-one matchup. It's not. It's not going to be. You think you're going to get every other person to step aside? No, that's not going to happen. Trump wants, at least if he gets about 5 people in, then he's going to win because they'll split that vote. If he gets down to 1 or 2, then it's different. He could lose. But All right, Britt, you want to just split the cost of one of them? Because
yes, of course.
we
I'll Venmo
talk
you.
trash, but we really want it. We're lying, aren't we?
I want to carry it around and show my friends. Yes, I'll Venmo you the money. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Now I'm going to ask like the stupidest question here, because I really know nothing about NFTs, about just beyond whatever. If I do this, where is it?
It exists on your phone or on your computer or in some sort of digital vault, from what I understand.
So why is that any different than me just taking a picture of what's ever there and keeping it in my phone and saying, I got this?
This
Why
is supposedly it's exclusive. No one else has it, and no one can counterfeit or copyright it. As for what I've been told. I've questioned all of this because the Chinese seem to be able to copyright and counterfeit anything, and I don't understand how it works. Hence, I will not be getting into that stupid part of the economy or investing or any of that stuff. But yeah, that's what I understand. Okay. This is something that only you have forever, and only you have the rights to, and only you can transfer. And there are digital watermarks on it that somehow make it completely authentic and whatever.
You know what? Chief. I think you ought to be pitching for it because you almost sound like you believe what you're saying.
I don't. I won't. I shall not. I'll never. There are a lot of things that I can say. I don't make a lot of definitive statements, but I'm really, really sure I'm never going to be buying an NFT. Really sure.
Okay, so this one for him will land with a thud not heard round the world. That's how I would say it. Okay, the comedy, the parody, the open yourself up to just being gutted publicly for Trump has never been greater, maybe, than it is in the next few days. Don't you think? I mean, again, we've all been around these last few years, and we all were subjected, if we have Facebook pages or if we're on Twitter or if we're anywhere, to, in any particular thread about Trump, some asshole coming on there with that cartoon of Trump's face on the front of a train, and it's coming to run your ass over, right?
Yeah, I love that.
How many times are we? Now, how many times have they thought that was a show of strength and an argument?
Yeah,
with something,
owning the libs,
right? So that's what this is. That's what this is. Except here's the deal: you don't do it for yourself, okay? It's you just don't. But
I mean, I hope it's a huge. I mean, I hope it's a huge dead bang loser. But again, you can see they're throwing out every product they can because this is the only thing they've got left. The university, the wine, the water, the steaks, everything else has gone tits up. So you have to sell politics or whatever he's trying to sell.
Maybe it's time to go back and start over.
Yeah,
with all the same stuff.
We're going to relaunch Trump University. You think?
Why not?
Should be a tremendous staff. I can't. I'm surprised. It would be great if they would offer him as a master class.
If you call it Trump College, it's different.
Oh, so different. It would be great. Why haven't the master class people approached him to do like something? I don't know. It would be a course on how to be a complete failure in life, or how to be an idiot, or how not to do politics correctly. But the master class people should approach him.
Yeah,
that would be great.
Yeah. All right. We're just dead, but there's just nothing more. All right, here you go. You're going to love the new tax form in 23. The rent is falling. Ted Budd is an obsequious Trump suck-up thug and a criminal, just like the rest of them, as North Carolina punches above its weight in the wonderful world of insurrection. Kirsten Sinema's side hustle, Taco Bell, say it ain't so, and canceled white guy kicked out of the U.S. Capitol.
Do the rent is falling because for sure the rent is too damn high.
Yep. Rent prices fell 0.4% in November, and that's just month over month. That's not like, that's in 1 month. That's the largest month over month drop since the good folks at Zillow started paying attention to this shit back in 2015, which means we have another sign that inflation is easing. And the fastest drop in any market in the country last month, the fastest drop was in Raleigh, 1.3%. Austin and Seattle. Austin, Seattle, and Raleigh. What do those three places have in common? I guess they're cool places to live. They're places where people want to go. And so the rent got too high. So we will sit back and watch the confluence of events and the crisscrossing of numbers and the tabulation of them and the direction that the economy seems to be going in and where they put interest rates to try to make sure that inflation doesn't come back again. And if we can figure out how to get people back to work and get wages from stopping from going up so quickly, that will end inflation. But we're not there yet, says the Federal Reserve chairman. And so he ain't done, he says, but the financial markets and the bond markets say, yeah, you're done. So somebody's right and somebody's wrong. And we won't know till the fat lady gets out there and sings about the recession of 2023, which seems more likely today than yesterday, but not half as much as tomorrow. Whatever.
Aren't you a little surprised that there's been? I mean, I'm not one of those guys because you hear all these guys, economists. Oh my God, the recession is going to be that stupid ass rich dad poor dad guy. Oh my God, it's going to collapse the economy and we're all going to die and God help us all. I'm not one of those people, but I am a little surprised there's not been somewhat of a collapse or something in the housing market in general, just with the gap.
Is. Well, no, it's not collapsing, but it's cratering. It's absolutely going down.
It feels like
way down.
The difference, or at least the gap between affordability and availability, has been as great as it's been in my lifetime. It feels like, not only between the affordability of houses, but also, as we say, with this rent stuff, it feels like there's just a huge, massive gap there.
Yeah, I mean, I just Googled the words housing market. Here are the stories that come up.
Okay.
Philadelphia area home sales plummet to lowest level since 15. Austin, sales plunge. Prices flatten out for Austin's housing market. The home builders are offering sweetheart deals when they build a house just to get people through the door because of high interest rates. So it's changed a lot. If you're not moving, and you're not moving, I'm not moving.
No.
You don't feel this at all. If you're out there trying to rent an apartment, you've obviously felt it for a while. Or if you're in an apartment and they raised your rent a couple of times in the last year or two, yeah, you know all about it. But that seems to now have come to a quick end, as has consumer spending, which was still okay. That's holding up our economy. And suddenly, bam, it just fell off the cliff. So things can...
Well, consumer spending has and hasn't. I mean, you saw that they had those record numbers as far as the holiday spending over the Thanksgiving weekend. And I think you've noticed probably as much as anybody, because you pay attention to this stuff, the retailers are not going for the crazy ass discounts. This was a huge week as far as the Christmas shopping season goes. And I'm not seeing the retailers really panic to cut things to the bone. Are you?
Everything you said, I believe I would say the absolute opposite.
Oh, there weren't record numbers on Thanksgiving weekend and Cyber Monday and Black Friday.
Not really, no. And if the numbers were slightly above, which would be quote a record. Remember, we've had huge price inflation. So they never inflation adjusts these kinds of numbers. But no, this has been a terrible Christmas shopping season.
Wow.
And every headline is people are saying they can't afford to buy Christmas gifts this year. Look it up. It's everywhere. So,
but again, I also saw those things that were like they spent a lot of money over Thanksgiving weekend, and the retailers, and I'm not. Are you seeing the retailers cut shit to the bone? Because I'm not. I thought particularly this week, which again was a huge week for these guys, and they're kind of holding steady. I mean, there's a lot of cuts and a lot of discounts, which there already are, but I figured there would be like mass stuff going on.
Well, the fact is, it's a huge turn very quickly. It is a slowdown, and whatever interest rates were raised during the year, that has not even had the actual effect that they have yet. So if you have the slowdown before the interest rates really kick in and start to change business buying habits, I mean, the way business spends, enterprise spending, then you have the setup for a real possible recession, with the caveat that I could be 100% wrong, but it really is kind of setting up that way. It's kind of setting up that way, but it might, maybe it will be less severe. But and they can't say. Here's the thing: the Federal Reserve and they can't say that the best way to crush inflation is to have a few million people tossed out of work who need jobs. And therefore, when they take a job, they're not in a position to demand higher wages. And it keeps people who still have their job from demanding higher wages because they see people around them being fired and losing their. They can't say that. Can't say it because it's too cruel. It's too mean. But that's how raging inflation has sadly always been crushed in the past. Is there a way to thread that needle and not have so many people lose their jobs and not have wages continue to go up, 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 up? I guess there is, but
that's where you were yesterday on this show. You were on the idea that perhaps there weren't going to be as many people unemployed as there were during a regular recession.
So far, that it just hasn't happened. But this could also be one of the two. Maybe, and we know about this. The old let's fire everybody right before Thanksgiving. That's radio's calendar. They fire everyone before Thanksgiving.
It's a big one because you got the fourth quarter. Those numbers in the fourth quarter aren't going to be quite that great.
It's possible that there's been some holding back of announcements or firing people until the beginning of the year after Christmas. I don't think that's necessary, but it could be a little bit true. I don't know.
Very odd. We'll have to see. And what is it, like 50 or 60% of all retail sales happen between November or between Thanksgiving and Christmas or something like that? Some statistic like that?
It depends. No, it depends. It's the profit that's made. It isn't, I don't know.
This is the Hail Mary pass. It's the Hail Mary pass at the end of the year for a lot of businesses. It's like they really need that really strong Christmas shopping season in order to get it done.
I don't know. It seemed to me like right around Halloween, we started getting the words Black Friday already in, right?
Well, they try to extend. I mean,
they stretched it out.
They try to extend it as much as they possibly can because it's such a big deal for them, for sure. Let's do the new tax form. You're going to love that new tax form in 2023. Yeah. Holy crap. Death rattle.
Now
you got it. See, cough your guts out now.
Yeah.
There you go. Yes, we're entering the big tax season here in just a couple of weeks here, Brad. We're going to be diving right into that at the end of January. Everybody gets their forms back, and then you'll start just rocking and rolling with your TurboTax or whatever you got.
Remember the American Rescue Plan passed back in March?
Without a single Republican vote. Yeah, I think I do remember that.
Well, one of the little nuggets that was in there was they've changed the law from $20,000 to $600. $20,000 used to be the threshold that if you were selling shit and using Venmo or PayPal or something, you had to report it. Now it's down to $600. And they think that there's been this wide gap of people who've been conducting business and making money and not paying any taxes on it. So this is supposedly a way to collect more tax money. So here it is. Anybody who was paid more than $600 for selling goods or services using one of those apps is going to get a 1099-K. Now, does that mean if I go out to dinner with 10 people and the bill is $800 and I'm paying for it, or they're paying me, does that mean I made, I don't know. There's a lot of confusion involved with this. The interesting number about 600 is 600 wasn't that always the amount of money that when you went to a casino, if you made more than $600 on your bet, then they would write out you'd get a tax form. Anything under $600, it was nothing. So I just find it curious that they picked 600.
Yeah, it's an odd number. I don't, and again, I think this is one of those things they're going to have a lot of problems enforcing.
Yeah,
I think this will be kind of tough.
Yeah, the way I see, if I was doing that kind of thing, that would increase my propensity to want to go to what we call a cash business. Because remember, cash has always been, the smartest way to avoid taxes, and, small restaurants and things like that with no credit cards. Why do they say no credit card? Well, you know why they say no credit cards, because they don't report the exact amount of money that comes in, if any, and they get away with it.
That's terribly unfair. It's terribly
unfair. Yeah, because it's true. And this is coming on kind of suddenly. I don't think anybody knew about this. They didn't know about this. So the Republicans are going to come to the rescue.
Yeah.
And we've got a counter bill called the Snoop Act. They love acronyms. Ready? Snoop. Stop the nosy obsession with online payments.
Jesus. Who comes up with this
Haggerty,
shit?
Tennessee. Yeah. I'm not kidding.
Jesus.
I kid you not. And I bring that up because we have the story, and I just bumped into this one this morning. It's not directly related to you got to report anything over $600, but the title of it is, I think I found Kirsten Sinema's side hustle.
Okay.
It's by a writer named Christina Cotterucci in Slate. And she found that Kirsten Sinema is on Facebook and uses the Facebook selling portion of it. What's it called? Facebook Marketplace?
Marketplace, correct.
Marketplace. And she's 100% positive, the writer is, that this is Kirsten Sinema, which, I don't think there are that many of them. And I don't think there are that many who live in Phoenix. They have a mutual Facebook friend who's a former Democratic National Committee staffer. It's her, and it's her profile photo. So what does Kirsten Sinema do? She's constantly on Facebook selling shit. She's constantly on there. It talks about 4.5-inch stilettos adorned with rhinestone studded flowers. $65. You want them? On and on. $250 for a cycling ensemble. A trucker hat. Jackets, 75 pairs of high heel boots, on and on and on and on it goes. What does it say about Kirsten Sinema? And we know she doesn't pay fucking any attention to her job as a senator. No. We know that. Did you know that she did not go to not a one Democratic caucus meeting?
Really?
She just doesn't show. She's just not there. She is not there. And this isn't about, she can work from home. No, it doesn't work that way. It's not a work from home kind of situation. So this is her. So I think the Senate is her side hustle, right?
I have a little trouble believing that she's not pawning this off, and that her Senate staff is probably taking care of this shit for her.
Britt, the folks at Slate and the writer contacted her staff, and they're pretending that they know nothing about this. They would neither confirm nor deny,
of course,
that the Facebook Marketplace user was her. And you know what that means? It's her.
It's true. Yeah.
Of course it's her.
100%. I know nothing.
Right. I mean, that's just, it's a free country. You can do what you want. But isn't that Isn't that weird? Isn't that nutty? Wow, that's her. That's her.
Do you remember when Coach Larry Fedora was the coach of the North Carolina Tar Heels, the football team?
Sure.
I used to be. I don't go on there as much as I used to, but I've bought several things off of the marketplace. You can get some really good deals on, like,
how's the security on that? I mean, how's the scamming?
As a privileged, fairly large white male, I do okay. I think for example, in our town, I think they should have near the police department an area where you can go and safely trade. They do that in other cities. I know Burlington, just down the road from us, several different places, they've got an area in the parking lot next to the police department where you can come, and if somebody tries to fuck you over, you can at least go, "Hey, cops!" You can do something like that. But I never had a problem with it. Larry Fedora's wife, I spotted one time after he was fired from UNC, and she was selling a bunch of UNC shit, like pullovers and hats, which I just thought was humorous. And I thought, well, why not? I don't need this shit anymore. Our loyalty is gone. We have enough UNC sweatshirts and socks and shit. Why not get rid of some of it and make some money, right?
Yeah, but that's like an NFT. That's just an exclusive, one-time only, worn by the former coach of the Tar Heels. That'd pretty valuable, wouldn't it?
Dude, yeah, sure. North Carolina's 17th best coach ever. I'm wearing his shirt.
Yeah. All right, let's talk about our criminal senator in waiting.
Yeah, Ted
Budd.
That's hard to even get your mind around, saying the fucking word Senator Budd, which we're going to have to in a few weeks. Jesus. I hate that.
And we have not talked much about the quote Hunter laptop unquote story, because still at this point, it's just a story that doesn't have enough meat on it to justify talking about it, other than the fact that the right wingers think that this is the silver bullet by which they will control the United States for the next 100 years. It's the worst scandal. Wrap them all up into one: Watergate, Teapot Dome,
Benghazi.
This is worse than that. And of course, turns out that's not true. You know who called bullshit on it a couple days ago?
Who?
Trey Gowdy.
Oh,
all right.
No. Oh,
now,
no.
if there's anybody that's more kind of a Republican in the tank guy, who has been for the most part a Trumper, but he was a prosecutor in his former life before he became a congressman, before he became a Fox News hack. If Trey Gowdy says there's no there, what do you think is there? The answer is nothing, because he'd be the first one to try to justify something if there was anything. Don't you think?
You knew this was bullshit because the exact day after all the networks finally came out and projected the Republicans were going to win the House, that's when they had the press conference going, "We're going so far after this, we're going to beat up Hunter Biden's ass."
Ooh.
You know that it was bullshit.
I didn't even think of that. Never noticed that. But I'm sure
it was the
true,
very day when they had the press conference and they were like, "All right, I know the American people, and we appreciate the American people's support." And what the American people said in November on that Tuesday was they want us to go hard after Hunter Biden's ass. That was the message that they got. That was their exact message.
All right. So we now know why Mark Meadows has been trying to tap dance his way into obscurity and is trying to stay out of the way and cooperate as little as possible, because apparently he was the center. He was the locus. He was the 6 degrees of separation for everybody in the Congress. In other words, the plotters inside our own government who were trying to figure out a way to keep Donald Trump as president and somehow show America that it was rigged, fixed. Trump was robbed. And so Talking Points Memo, which, by the way, is a great, great, wonderful site. It's been there through all this for about 15 years. Josh Marshall, they do great work.
Yeah, they do.
They're the ones that went hard and first with 34 members of Congress, senators and congressmen, and their back and forth texts with Mark Meadows right after the election and all the way up through and after January 6th. Four of the 34 were from North Carolina. So that's more than 10%. We are punching way above our weight.
Good for us.
In terms of pieces of shit.
Yeah.
In the Congress. And one of those four is, that's right, Ted Budd. Ted Budd was telling Mark Meadows that, and this is not new, other people were saying this, but he was on board with links between the Dominion Voting Systems Corporation and George Soros, cue the evil music. The ridiculous yet persistent conspiracy theory that has been firmly debunked over and over and over again. Budd appeared once again as one of several Trump allies who reminded Mark Meadows of the hard work that they were doing to help overturn the election. And not only that, think of that. So Meadows is there, right, with Trump, and there's all these guys out there telling, don't worry, man, we are working as hard as we can to fuck up the United States government, overturn the election. We're in on the coup. Don't worry, Mark. We've got your back. That's what Ted Budd is saying. And he was one of the people who was requesting presidential pardons for their buddies, requesting them to Trump as the presidency wound down. Late December 2020, Ted Budd asks Mark Meadows, is there anything I can do to get you to help Robin H. on the pardon list? Robin H. is Robin Hayes. Okay? Robin Hayes was a congressman, about 20 years ago. He's from, I guess, the Salisbury area, that part of North Carolina, north of Charlotte. And he became the chairman of the North Carolina Republican Party. And he was mayor of Raleigh for about a minute. And then after that, he didn't run and got indicted a few years later, actually in 2019, because it turned out that he was charged with, I love this, 3 counts of making false statements to federal authorities. He coordinated with another businessman and 2 other individuals to bribe the North Carolina Commissioner of Insurance, who at that time's name was Mike Causey, in exchange for favorable treatment of one of these businessman's insurance firms and the dismissal, the firing a deputy insurance commissioner. So my buddy, Robin Hayes, says, I'll give you this money if you go light on my friend and if you fire your deputy. He got 7 years in prison. So here's Ted Budd, right? Within 2 years, okay, because Robin Hayes, 2019 is 2021. You got to pardon Robin Hayes. Well, okay. It turned out they couldn't reinstall Donald Trump. They couldn't convince any of the 64 different judges around the country who threw out all this bullshit. But Robin Hayes did get his pardon. Robin Hayes did get pardoned.
Interesting. Would you like to know where Robin Hayes went to college?
Please. I hope it's not UNCG or Ohio State.
Duke University.
Duke
University is where Robin Hayes actually got his degree from.
Perfect.
Add it to the list.
I mean, there's just no excuse. Now, here's a question. I know the answer to the question. This is a stupid question. If people would have known this about Ted Budd before the election, was it 6 weeks ago? Do you think this would have changed the outcome of the election? Of course not. No. Of course not. Right?
No.
We know that. Because the people who didn't vote for Sherry Beasley and voted for Ted Budd would never vote for Sherry Beasley, and it wasn't going to stoke turnout on behalf of Sherry Beasley. So,
but they
we have
ran.
Ted Budd as our senator. We have Ted Budd. I think he's the only one of these 34 who's got a quote promotion since this all happened. If you consider moving from the House to the Senate a promotion, I guess it is technically because there's fewer senators, so it's a more prestigious
and
position.
Dominion in their lawsuit against about everybody, but Fox News, they were able to depose Rupert. I don't know if you saw that the other day. He had to sit down for a deposition and answer questions about why. Well, your news people said that Donald Trump definitely lost the election, but after 7 o'clock at night, he didn't so much.
We don't know. That hasn't been made public what was said, right?
Yeah.
We don't know. But here's the thing. Apparently, it must have been about 15 years ago, Rupert Murdoch got dragged in front of a similar deposition situation. He was dragged into one. And that was because of all the tabloid shit over in Britain.
Great Britain.
Remember that News of the World tabloid that they finally shut down? That was the only way to get out of it. But apparently back then, he was already playing the I just don't remember anything card, which I guess in Britain, you're allowed to do that. They don't have a Fifth Amendment, but they have the I'm too old and I don't remember. So if he was too old and couldn't remember and sort of got away with it then, now he's over 90 years old. He's going to play that game all day long.
Was that the hearing where his then wife climbed over and started whooping somebody's ass? Was that that whole situation there?
I don't know about that, but I like it.
No, it was when he was married to Wendy, and then somebody was coming after him, and she tried to beat the shit out of him. It was kind of nice.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden she leaves him. It's weird, man.
Yeah.
Just weird.
Yeah. All right, two quick ones here before we get out of here. Here's a canceled white man kicked out of the U.S. Capitol. They took out the marble bust.
Oh, yeah.
Of the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court, who in 1857 wrote the Dred Scott decision that said that African Americans weren't citizens. That's Roger Taney. Taney, Taney. I know that's how it's pronounced because I've heard everybody say it. It's not Taney. It's not Taney. It's not Taney.
Yeah.
It's Taney. He was the 5th Chief Justice of our country, and it's been there for a long time. He was Chief Justice he had a good run, 1836 to 64.
Mm-hmm.
And Thurgood Marshall will be placed in the Capitol. Now, wait a second. Are you telling me this is how perfect is this? That Thurgood Marshall, the first Black Supreme Court justice, has been excluded from the Capitol, technically in favor of the worst Supreme Court justice, Chief Justice ever, the guy who did the Dred Scott decision, largely agreed upon as one of the worst decisions ever. Although in the next 2 years, we may get a couple that might rival that, and we certainly just had one, a couple months ago, with the Dodd decision to repeal Roe versus Wade.
You got Bush v. Gore. You got Citizens United. I mean, there's several really awful
bad
ones.
But they'd kept Thurgood Marshall out of there. Wow.
And for you kids,
now here's the question, Britt. When they take the Confederate statues down,
and
certainly in North Carolina at Chapel Hill, it's a crisis. What do we do with it?
What do you do? What do you mean, like, as far what do we do? Just blow it up or something? Shouldn't we blow it up?
Well. So I think some of these they're in hiding. They're in storage.
Yeah.
They don't melt them down because that's too provocative, Britt. That's too insulting. That's an execution, Britt.
But we will be replacing them with statues of Michael Jordan because everybody loves him.
Right. But so what are they going to do with this bust of the worst Supreme Court justice who ran the court and presided over the most racist decision that we've ever? Where does that go? Does Trump bring that down to Mar-a-Lago? It seems like that would be a nice place to have it rest there.
And for you people that don't know, for you kids, Thurgood Marshall held that Supreme Court seat that piece of shit Clarence Thomas now holds. That's that was his seat.
And one more thing, Taco Bell, say it ain't so. It's actually not. Taco Bell is going to have French fries now.
Oh boy.
Not just special occasion French fries.
Right.
They're not going to make ribbit. It's going to be there all the time. French fries. How do we feel about that? I never go to Taco Bell. I don't think I've been to a Taco Bell in 25 years.
Oh, 25? No, it's been a while for me because I'm trying to be less fat. I mean, I guess that's good. I suppose that's okay. They have a thing called nacho fries that apparently people like, but this may be better.
Okay. All right.
Which I assume they're going to goop a whole bunch of that fake cheese sauce and some taco meat on top of that, right? Make them super fries or something.
Well, yeah. Once you start with the basics,
sure,
you can add and make them more disgusting all day long. All right. That's it for us for this week. We'll be back on Monday. For those of you who are wondering about we're good all next week. It's a regular week for us.
It is. It's a regular week, and we're here to entertain and inform you.
Monday through Thursday. Of course, then in the month of January, we're going to have all of our permanent guest hosts come in and do the show.
That's correct. Again, Lars Larson has been contacted. He'll be here. Yeah. Alan Handelman on the weekends.
Handelman, yeah, Pete Davis. They'll all be here.
We'll see you.